And welcome to the Red Hook Town Board meeting of January 29th, 2020. Would you be kind enough to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and this is the second meeting of the month. And for the folks at home, we have a rather quick meeting, I hope. We'll be discussing primarily reorganization, reappointments and new appointments on our various boards and committees. And if you like, the agenda is listed on the screen there. You can take a look. The second item on the agenda is we have to go out and rebid for our two ADA accessible vans to include some FTA information with those new solicitations. And then we're going to have board reports and department reports and committee reports after reorg. And then we'll go into a brief attorney-client session. So thank you for joining us. And announcements, I only have one announcement, which is we would like to once again encourage you to go on the town's website, redhook.org, to sign up for notifications. This way you can find out about not only tonight's agenda, but any other topic that you are interested in. At the top right there's a tab called Notify Me. And once you sign up, I recommend that you also check your spam folder, because oftentimes that's where the first news alert ends up. So that's all I have for announcements. Does anyone else have an announcement they'd like to make? Okay, very good. Public comments, would anybody like to make some public comments? All right, very good. Thank you very much. All right, so why don't we skip around just a little bit. Reorg is going to take a very long time, relatively speaking. As we discussed at the last meeting, agenda item number 2, we have to go out again and rebid for the all-electric ADA accessible vans, because Department of Transportation wasn't satisfied with our language that said that the successful vendor needed to comply with all the elements of the Enhanced Mobility Program. They wanted us to in fact include a lot of the clauses and the forms themselves and have the vendor sign off at the time they submit the bid. So we have reworked it with that information. In fact, DOT has our documents, and they are looking them over as we speak, and so we hope to hear back from them very shortly. But provided that there are no major changes, just some tweaks, what you have in front of you is something we would hope to get your authorization on going out to bid again. Our attorney for the town worked on this, and we thank her very much for that. Also Dennis Collet as well, and DOT helped out a lot with this, and so this rather extensive packet includes additional bid specification details, which we thought would be also good to have. And you see the various forms and requirements that are a part of this FTA grant program. And once we award to the vendor for the 2 vans, then they will submit to New York State to get matching incentive funds from NYSERDA. So were there any questions about this? I know it was rather extensive. All right, so we have a resolution, it's number
5.
Dated January 29th, it's authorizing the solicitation of public bids for 2 electric vans regarding enhanced mobility. And it's very short. The dates we're working with right now is to have the bids back in by February 13th. And then we might, I might call upon you if possible to have a special meeting in between the 2 February meetings, just to ensure if we are ready to award, we want to make sure that we get our applications in for the matching incentive funds. So I so move resolution number 5. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And Christine, thank you very much for all your work on this. All right, let's flip back to agenda item number 1. And reorganization, I would remind the folks at home that a lot of the great work that gets done here at the town is because of our dedicated volunteers. If you are interested in joining one of our boards or committees, please go online. You can take a look at, I think we must have 15 to 20 boards or committees here in town to see if something interests you. And send an email of interest to our town clerk, Sue McCann. It's smccann@redhook.org. We're going to be working on this again tonight, and we'll continue in through February on appointments. Okay, so let's dig in, folks, if we could. And shall we start alphabetically with the Ag and Open Space Advisory Committee? Bill?
Yep. Well, we've, thanks to the supervisor and his staff, we've communicated with the members listed for the Ag and Open Space Committee, and we've got to get replies back. But based upon some contact from Mary Ann Johnson, who's volunteered to run the committee, Michael Robertson is not sure that he's chairman or not. It's written the record doesn't show whether he is. But Mary Ann Johnson, I would propose, we could designate her as a member of that Ag and Open Space Committee and as chairman for this year. And we've heard from Rich Brzezinski and John Hardiman, at least, who were willing to work, continue. What's the other name, or what's another name?
Amanda Costello.
Amanda Costello. And another name has been proposed, which we'll explore.
Okay. And, all right, well, shall we tackle a little bit of that tonight? Because I know that we'd like to get that committee meeting. Do we have a vacancy, or shall we increase the size of the committee? I would suggest we increase the size. Right now we have 9 members. It's quite possible that all 9, and then if Mary Ann Johnson needs to be added back in,
Sure.
she co-chaired for a while. And then if we wanted to entertain an additional member, so I would suggest we go up to 11. Does that make sense? The more the merrier. Okay. And then let's, they're 2-year terms. Why don't we put Mary Ann Johnson with a term to end 2021, and then as chair for 2020, that ends 2020, that's a year term. And then Rich Brzezinski, he would be on the 2021 cycle as well. We haven't heard back from Hannah Beal yet. Talea we have, so Talea would be 2020, keeping the alternating year terms. Ken Miglarelli would be 2021, we know that he wants to stay on. Pete Hubble we've heard from as well, 2020 for him. Marina, did we hear back from Marina, Bill? Or not yet? Not yet, okay, so we'll wait on Marina for now.
And what about Michael? He's on for 2020, right?
And he's on for 2020 exactly, yeah, thank you. And John Hardiman would be 2021. And Norman, we haven't heard back from, I don't think, but I would imagine he'd want to stay on, but shall we, let's pause since we haven't heard back from Norman and Marina and Hannah, and let's appoint or reappoint those other individuals. with those terms. Mary Ann Johnson, 2020. One as a term and chair, 2020. Michael Robertson, 2020, is already. Rich Buzinski, 2021. Talea, 2020. Ken Miglarelli, 2021. Pete Hubble, 2020. And John Hardiman, 2021. Okay.
Yeah, I should mention to the new board members, we don't have Mary Ann Johnson's resume here, but I think you can understand that she's a long-time Town of Red Hook active participant in agricultural matters. What was that name, Glendale Farm, what was that
Well,
long-term
okay, so
association?
Mary Ann works for and has worked for several years now for Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development Corporation.
Yeah, but before that, it was the Glen, you know, that great farm down in
Glenwood.
Glenwood, yeah, she was associated with that for years. She's very highly regarded, she works well with everybody, and so that's why she has been kind of suggested to kind of, you know, reinvigorate the Ag and Open Space Committee.
Great. The other thing I would suggest is, we do have, before we go ahead and vote on that resolution, we have a letter of interest from Sam Rose. And Sam has been operating a farm over in Pine Plains area, I'm from Pine Plains area. Sam Rose, we have Sam's letter of interest here.
Yep.
Did we not get a copy of that in the packet?
I have it, sorry.
You have it, okay. So, I would suggest we add Sam as well. I know he's interested in actually acquiring a farm here in Red Hook and has very good experience. He lives in Red Hook. And we need for a term of 2021.
Where are you looking to put this one? Oh, you want 11 members?
Yeah, we're gonna have
Okay,
11
yeah.
members. We might even have to go up to 12 in theory if the ones we haven't heard back from
Okay.
want to stay on. But right now, we haven't reappointed Marina, Hannah, or Norm, just because we haven't heard from
Right,
them.
right.
So,
Yeah, he actually.
So we want to put Samuel Rose on it for 2020?
2020,
That company's that need your signature too.
Yeah.
But everybody else is signed.
great. Thank you. Does that work, folks, to
Yeah.
add Sam to it?
So did I make that motion or no?
Sure, go ahead.
I'll make the motion that you talked about.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Sam Rose, 2021. All in favor? Aye, thank you very much. Okay. Assessment Review Board, okay, 5 members. We do have a vacancy on the Assessment Review Board. Jay Greenblatt, I've got my fingers crossed, Jay Greenblatt will still be on the Assessment Review Board for 2020. We've had a couple of conversations.
Yeah, initially you told me no.
Right, I know. Well, through the miracles of Linda Greenblatt,
Okay.
who pointedly said, "Why not, Jay?" I think Jay will be staying on, but we do have an opening for the Assessment Review Board. And so what I'd like to do tonight anyway is propose that we keep Carl Dowden as chair. He's interested in remaining as chair. Jane Bazinski is on until the end of 2020 with his term. Pete Hubble, 2021. Carl Downing, 2022. And then for now, we'll keep Jay Greenblatt as a holdover. His term technically ended last month. Okay, and in this case, you know, it's the Board of Assessment Review that appoints the chair. So why don't we just
What about
leave
Louis
it?
Rose? Think about him for the
Why, yeah,
board?
Yeah, I think we should give some thought to some of the folks that have sent an interest that we don't know very well. I think we should maybe see the other letters we get in the next few weeks and see where we can match things up as best as possible for them and for us. Okay. So my motion is nothing related to the assessment report because they pick their own chair and everybody
Oh,
else
you,
is still on.
so you want to make him 2020 chair? or-
Well, we can't. They appoint their own chair.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those strange things in local government. Okay. CPF, we haven't heard anything back on CPF. I can't imagine there are any changes there. I know they need to have a meeting pretty soon. There's a CPF application in front of them.
You want to reappoint a chair, or is
So,
that, and Rich is here, so.
yeah. Well, why don't we go ahead and reappoint Mary Ann as chair for that? That's a committee for the folks at home that only meets when there's a special project in front of them. So they often go a year or two without meeting, or they meet when the plan needs to be updated. So does Dr. Brzezinski wish to remain on the CPF committee since he's here? Okay. A 3-year appointment then. And so what we can do is Mary Ann and Rich for now.
To 2022 each.
Mary Ann as chair. And
Brad will probably be good.
Rich
Pete Hummel.
Brzezinski, yeah. I'm sure they'll all be fine.
I
It just-
think we're in the same as.
We haven't heard from Christine Kane on this, so we'll just defer to her. We'll finish the appointments in February. Everybody's a holdover until then. They'll get together, have their meeting, and figure out if they want to stay on there. So for now, Mary Ann, chair, and Rich Brzezinski, 2022.
So move.
All right, second? Well, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. All right, Communications Committee, we heard from former councilperson Sarah Bowden. She would like to chair the Communications Committee, and of course would need to be a member. Right now, they have 1-year appointments for that committee. It might be a good idea at some point to stagger that, but I guess we could keep that for 2020. So I would move that we appoint Sarah Bowden, reappoint Leah Pascalo, reappoint Vicki Perry, reappoint Joey Chevelle, reappoint Teresa Burke to the Communications Committee, and the term would end December 2020.
What happened to Gradage?
He had requested to drop off. I think he's got a busy schedule and wasn't able to continue, but we very much appreciate his work as we transition to a new website.
Ann? I didn't hear you mention it.
No, Ann is overextended and wishes not to be on the Communications Committee. But we'll see if we can get another person here from Town Hall. We have Teresa already from Highway.
So Sarah's a member and also a chair.
Exactly.
When do you want her to expire as a member?
Everybody,
It's just a 1
their
year,
term
so,
expires in
okay.
2020, yeah.
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Complete Streets, let's come back to that. Brenda Cagle wants to be a part of that. We still need to work on a chair. Jen Kavanaugh is juggling too much to continue on that. A few folks have been suggested to reach out to. CAC, however, I think we've got all that we need to know on that, which is, I don't know if you spoke to Lori, but I did today.
Yeah,
You did,
I
okay.
had sent her an email and she said that it seemed like she thought everybody would want to return. She asked if anybody was, up for renewal or anything.
Yeah, so we went over the list
Yeah.
today, and so she obviously would like to remain as
Mhm.
chair.
Yep.
Mike Zeely would be renewed for a 2-year term ending in 2021. Same with Lori, same with Dennis Collet, the same with the other Lori, that's Lori Urban, and the same is true of Jen Kavanaugh. So I would make that motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much.
But Jen Kavanaugh will stay on the CAC?
She will, yeah, that's part of the reason why
She's to
she's
2021,
CAC and
right?
Energy, yeah.
And Lori till 2021?
Lori Houston and Lori Urban are both 2020. Next up is design.
I'm sorry, is Lori going to stay as chair?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that was part of the motion, sorry, Bill. Okay. Design Review Hamlet Committee, 2-year appointments, and so it looks like everybody wants to stay on that. The staggering would cause Chris Gilbert to be ending in 2020 as well as his chairpersonship. Emily Major, 2020 as well. We have a vacancy on the Design Review Committee, and actually it was Paula Schoonmaker recommended we reach out to Peter Esterson, who you know works for Architectural Digest, who does a lot of photography there.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you've been to a lot of the historic red up events, you might have met Peter. He might be a good person to add to. So that's the vacancy. And then Jeff Carter wants to remain. He's a 2021. And Tiffany Nogales is also a 2021. So I would make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Disaster Preparedness Committee, that's a committee that's meeting frequently, doing a great job. And so I know all of these individuals want to re-up. Hai Ping is doing a wonderful
What about
job.
Richard Franklin? Does he still want to
Yeah,
be active?
Dick was here last week at the meeting. Yeah. Yeah, Hai Ping is chair, with the term ending 2020. And then her term as a member would end 2021. Dick Franklin, 2021. Randy Klum, 2021. He comes to every meeting. Eleanor Troy comes to every meeting, 2021. And those are the only ones that are up now. So I would make a motion that we reappoint those individuals. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Economic Development Committee. Have we heard anything yet, or do we
Not
need
yet.
more time on that
I
one?
need more time on that one.
Okay. No worries, and there have been, there
The
were
meeting
one or
was-
two.
The meeting was canceled last week, so
Okay.
that's part of it.
Okay. No hurry on that. Those meetings.
Well, we do have some people showing an interest in that, though, right?
Yes.
You want to jump ahead to
We do. We do.
Sasha? Emily?
Emily. Yeah. I think what I'd like to do is have, if possible, have a little more time for some interest to come in, have the committee meet and discuss, and also have the chair of the committee meet and discuss and take a look at some of these resumes. Does that make sense? Energy Committee, everybody's re-upping on that one, but nobody needed to be re-upped with the exception of the chair, Dennis Collet. So I'd make a motion that we reappoint him as the chair. We have 2 vacancies there on the Energy Committee and one person who may be interested in joining. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, ethics. Do we know anything yet about ethics?
So Fred Cartier said that he would like to remain as chair.
Okay,
Still waiting to hear back about
members?
Yes.
Okay. And the only one we have, well, we have 2 that are eligible for reappointment, and that's Susan Simon and, well, Fred himself. So we have to reappoint Fred tonight. If he wants
Yes.
to remain as chair, we have to reappoint him. So, Jake, if you want to make a motion to reappoint him as chair and to reappoint him as a member for a term ending in 2024.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Fred Cartier as a member and as the chair of the ethics board for the term ending in 2024.
Okay, and the chairpersonship ends in 2020, and I would second that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, well, Christine Keene is not here tonight, so I don't know if you want to do greenways and trails. The people up are Howie, Bruce, Anna, Brenda, Lisa, so I think we probably want to go back on that. Intermunicipal task force, is that one we can maybe mull over a little bit too? Because you may want some of these interested people on your task force.
Right. And the task force may be going through a reorganization, so to speak, so,
Okay,
it's something we gotta talk about in the next month or two. But everybody on the task force is very active in all other committees around town,
okay,
as the board knows.
good. All right, we have the local waterfront revitalization plan, and that is like a task force.
It's all up and running the way it is, right?
Exactly. We received a grant to update our local waterfront revitalization plan, and so this task force is assigned to work on that. And what I would suggest is that we just have a motion to re-up everyone that's a part of that task force, and then we have some town board members listed as members of the task force. We have our consultant as well.
Ted shouldn't be a member of the task force.
What's that?
Ted shouldn't be a
Right.
member of the task force.
Right.
That's not correct.
So we should make Ted Fink a consultant
To what task
to the
force?
task force, to LWRP,
Right, he's not a member. he's
as
a
opposed to a
consultant.
member.
Right,
And then maybe we can keep the rest of the individuals as members.
that's fine.
You know, we have Paula listed as chair. Is she still willing to act in that capacity?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then it's a 2-year appointment. I don't know why we chose 2 years for that. Maybe because we thought it would take
Because it's
2
taken
years.
us forever to do anything.
Well,
Paula is doing a great job.
she's doing a wonderful job.
Amazing job.
We really appreciate all the work that she's doing. It's a very
We
cumbersome
meet monthly
process.
and there's full attendance, so it's very active.
That's great. So I would recommend that we reappoint everybody. Nobody's expressed any interest.
Didn't know we
otherwise.
were up for reappointment, but I so move
Okay. And
myself too.
yourself
I'll
too.
second
And keep Paula as chair for a 1-year term. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you
I'm
very
sorry, I
much.
didn't hear the second.
Oh, I think Bill was, Bill and Bill.
Bill and Bill, okay.
1 Bill, 2
I
Bill.
heard Bill O'Neill. Okay.
It's too far.
Yeah, it's true, gotta talk louder.
Yeah.
Planning board, we'd like to come back to planning board so we can have an opportunity for, take a look at some of these resumes and also have the planning board chair meet with the planning board candidates as well.
Something I see that I forgot to do is eliminate William Hamels.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm no longer.
Yeah, I think
Saw
we have,
that.
we have the resignation letter from him back in December, so that
Yeah.
can just come off.
Yep.
That creates a vacancy for a term to end in 2023. So we, at this point, have 1 vacancy. Yeah. We could at this time entertain to reappoint Sam Phelan as chair. And we do have 1 member who's up for reappointment, Vanessa Kickline, and I won't pronounce her name correctly, even though I've been corrected, Kickline. And so I would make a motion that we do those 2. Those are the eligible ones for.
What about Lisa, 2018, Lisa Foster?
Yeah. So that must have been a holdover, so let's do that one as well. 2025 would be the end of that term. These are 7 years appointment. All 3, shall we?
So moved.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Kick one. And then we'll come back and try to fill that vacancy or alternate. Recreation Commission, we're all set there. Pretty much. Doug Straczynski, these are 2-year appointments, we would need to reappoint him. And he's willing to stay on as chair, so that's 2020 for both of those terms. Charlie Nugent, we're hoping Charlie will stay for a while. We know he's actually relocating, but for now we could reappoint him to 2021. Lori Lovis, we have not heard back from. Tom Gilbert wants to remain, Shannon Miller wants to remain, Patty Bowman wants to remain. Tom Gilbert is 2021, Shannon Miller is 2020, Pat Bowman is 2021. Did I say Melissa Germano 2020? So the only one we have is Lori right now, that's a question mark. So I would make that motion that we make those reappointments. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Bill, you want to tell us about Red Church Cemetery Committee?
Yeah, but first, let me just back a bit about the design review. Chris Gilbert, in his email, he kind of inquired whether we wanted some new role for the
Oh, no.
design review.
No, that was just an email. We sent out an email saying we'd like to get this committee up and running again.
Yeah.
That was a template from a previous email. I think it was the Ag and Open Space Committee email.
But he sent it back and he said, let him know what we want to do or something.
Well,
Can you let him
that
know?
language, I did, I
Oh,
responded.
okay.
That language shouldn't have been in the template.
So we want to keep the design review committee the way it has been at the request of the planning board to take action. And he knows that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows that.
So as far as the cemetery committee, it's up and running, very active, meets every last Wednesday of every month. John Kuhn is, of course, managing the operation of the cemetery with others and does a great job. So we want to keep it the way it is. Do we need to re-up anybody? I don't know.
Well, yeah, we should establish terms. I don't see we had terms here. We did this, I think, in the middle of the year when we inherited the cemetery. What do you think about having 2-year terms?
Sure. But does it, as a member of the board, the chairman? How's that work?
You could be a chair.
Yeah.
It's just an advisory committee.
Yeah,
All
Doesn't
right.
have any power, so.
So my motion is to make everybody 2-year terms.
that would be 2021, and those individuals are William O'Neill, Harry Colgan, former council person. We have Claire, of course, listed here. Is Claire attending the committee? I know you are, so
I
good.
attend, yeah.
Okay, so maybe we
Take Claire off.
take Claire off. John Kuhn, Sue McCann, Jackie Zatko, and there's discussion, I guess John spoke to Emily Major
Yes, you want to add Emily Major to it.
for her expertise with the church itself.
Right.
Okay.
Historical research.
And that's terms ending in 2021. And you made a motion, I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. All right, you're working on St. Margaret's.
Yeah, that's a big question mark, but anyway, let me work on it.
Senior Services Committee. We have a wonderful Senior Services Committee reinvigoration going on. So if you would be interested in this very important topic in our community, we encourage you to send a note of interest. And we could use a chairperson for that committee as well. So here's who we know wants to be reappointed that needs to be on the committee. That's Rose Ryder. It's a 2-year appointment, so it would end in 2020. She was a holdover from 2018. Connie Barisi for a term ending in 2021. Marge Roberts will keep on from 2021. Nancy Finkel has not been attending meetings, but for now, let's keep her on 2020, and we're trying to reach out to her. Dick Franklin, 2020, who wants to stay on the committee. Johanna Moore does not need to be reappointed, she's already 2020. George John, more correctly pronounced like an H, former town supervisor, by the way, with a term of 2021. And he sent his letter of interest. He's been attending the senior services.
That's his
committee
last
meetings.
name is,
Jan, J-A-H-N. I think he was a supervisor out in Austerlitz,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. So it's nice to have him here. We get a lot of former supervisors moving into the town.
How do
And they
you
were-
spell Connie's last name, Robert?
We have it.
B-A-R-E-S-I.
I'm sorry.
B-A-R-E-S-I.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Sister Cities is not active at the moment. Jacob Tree Preservation Commission, have you had a chance to reach out to them? Okay.
Yeah, I attended the meeting last week, and I
Okay.
reached back out to Kathy, and she said it sounded like everybody would be interested in
Yeah,
returning.
we're trying to-
Yeah,
Okay.
and everybody was this week, so.
Okay. So the only ones
Yep.
who need to be reappointed, because their term has expired, is Eleanor, she would be 2021, it's a 2-year term. David, 2021, Cody, 2021, and to reappoint Kathy as the chair, and she's doing a great job.
And Elmer, did you put her down?
And Eleanor, yes, I put her down for 2021, so Jacob, you want to make that motion?
Sure, a motion to reappoint Eleanor Ferry, David Grover, Cody Hay, as members of the Tree Preservation Commission for a term ending in 2021, and then reappoint Kathy Michael as the chair for 2021.
I would second that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, could I just ask, did you actually vote on the senior services?
No, they did not.
Oh, really?
That's why I have a question mark here.
Well,
I
shall we?
believe Robert moved.
I moved. Would somebody second my motion to reappoint those individuals? Please.
Second.
Thank you. Is that a yes?
Well, he got it.
Second.
Is that all in favor?
Bill won.
Yeah.
Bill Senior. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, ZBA, same thing, I'd like to hold off on that.
Do you want to do water?
Oh, no, actually, I don't want to do water because did you hear from all the water
I
folks?
heard from Mr. Dempires, the chair,
Okay.
who expressed an interest in staying the chair. I have not heard from anybody else yet.
Okay,
But looks like Nick is good to the end of the year, and Evelyn Amrod's good to the end of the year, so we need to find out about the vice chair, Jerry, and...
Greg and Michael, yeah.
Greg and Michael.
Yeah, and Larry Carr. Is Larry attending? That's good. I don't know. Okay, so what, you want to stick with just chair for now, right?
Well, that's what I heard back from.
Okay, so I'd make a motion that we reappoint Hank Van Paris as the chair of the water board. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we'll come back to that. The members. Okay, same thing with ZBA, let's come back to that at a later date. We have some letters of interest to different boards and committees. And we have not heard back from some of those folks. Zoning Review Committee, I'd say the same thing there. They have not been meeting, they haven't had an issue in front of them, so we want to check in with them, and maybe take a look at some of these letters of interest as well. That makes sense? Okay. All right, we're gonna do board reports. One piece of administrative that we didn't tackle last meeting, we talked about the delegate to the AOT conference. I'll be there Wednesday to vote. Your wishes. As a backup, I might suggest Bill Hamill, since you'll be there Wednesday morning. Should anything happen to me, one of these viruses going around, the last thing you want to do is be in a conference with hundreds upon hundreds of people.
All over.
From all over, right, from all over in a hotel, but we have that obligation as part of our continuing ed.
Times Square.
Right, in Times Square, exactly.
People are not buying Corona beer because they think
So,
it causes a coronavirus.
I'd like to make a motion that I be designated the delegate as is typical, and that, Miller, you willing to be the backup delegate?
Yes.
Since you're there? Thank you
Yep.
very much. Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay. We are moving right along. We're going to go into board reports. And Christine would normally report the planning board report, but maybe the former planning board member would do that tonight.
Be happy to do that. So this report covers November, December, my last 2 months on the planning board. And the three things that are being reported, that the board is continuing to discuss an application to subdivide what is called the Sky Park, where the old airport is. It's 150 acres, and an applicant wants to cut it into 4 residential building lots, 3 of which would be flag lots. And they would be accessed by 2 shared driveways. The project's in the RD3 and waterfront conservation area and the scenic corridor overlay and the environmental protection overlay. It's a sensitive area with a lot of issues associated with that. And my recollection of being at those at the meetings in November and December where we had many questions for the applicants. They came back with answers on some of those, and it's a continuing dialogue. I don't know where it's left off as of, for January. But they were asked to provide some additional information on a couple of sensitive issues. The board did grant a certificate of appropriateness to St. John's Evangelist Church on River Road, and they're going to build a 45 square foot addition to, it's next to a bathroom, I think, and it's in the Scenic Corridor Overlay District and the RD5 Residential District and the Historical Landmarks Overlay District. The architect came before the board, and it seemed like an excellent architectural addition, which will not have any adverse impact in those areas. And lastly, to report, the board granted a 90-day extensions to satisfy conditions of the approval for the Traditions at Red Hook, which is formerly known as the Hoffman T&D, as well as the Schaefer Hudson Valley application.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's going to be an end of an era, right, without Sky Park there.
Let's see what happens.
We have the Zoning Board of Appeals monthly report, and I guess that would be the other bill to report, is that correct?
Well, yeah, the ZBA met on December 11th. They had a public hearing on the application of Hudson Valley Wind and Solar, representing Vermance Farm LLC on West Curly Corners Road in the town of Red Hook. Their application to put up a wind-powered turbine atop a 120-foot-high motor pole tower. And that public hearing will continue on January 8th. And I don't know what happened at the meeting on January 8th, frankly. Or no, oh, you do?
I think it's been extended or something. I
Okay.
don't think there was any,
The only report I have actually is the December report. And then in their review meeting on the application of Stephen Bear for a 2-car garage addition on Spring Lake Road, that matter was reviewed, and there has been a public hearing scheduled for January 8th. And the meeting then was adjourned because the next regularly scheduled meeting is February 12th.
Okay.
So I think everything that was scheduled for January 8th has been moved to February 12th.
Okay. Great. Bill Hamel, could you do a quick synopsis of the water board report for us? I know it's rather technical.
Yeah, there's two monthly reports, one for December, actually it's three, November, December, and then they gave a summary, so it's really 2 months. In the month of November, the normal amount of 1,000 gallons per day that's being pumped is supposedly 77. In November, it was almost 83 gallons, 1,000 gallons per day were being pumped. And in December, it went to 95, but there's an asterisk that there was some usage of water from Bard College, which may have contributed to that increase. The wells, there's not really much to report on that. The pumping volume is 145 gallons per minute for well 1, and for well 2, it's 150 gallons per minute. I'm happy to report that there was no coliform detected when they tested the water. Turbidity is very low, and the chlorine residue or residual chlorine is less than 0.1, so it's a parts per million. So it was one. The goal is to have it be less than 1, and it was 0.7, so it was less than that, which is a good thing. And that's for November. The test report of the water quality ongoing for nitrates, they don't really have much of the results here. They did replace all the filter containers, and they have 2 micron filter cartridges in stock and 1 micron filter. So they have, apparently they have some filters in reserve. Let's see. There was a timer installed on the pump, the manual, they do a manual operation of pumps using some kind of radio remote.
Mm-hmm.
They installed a timer, and they rang on a timer until it resolved the radio communication and replaced it with a cell communication. I've asked Dan Valentine to prepare an RFP for the replacement of that communication system so they can remotely deal with the pumps. There's an issue about replacing the probe meters, which has not been scheduled. And they're trying to manage the differences in the meter readings. Existing meters register in the 1,000 gallon increments. The new meters are different. They're 0.1 or a tenth of a gallon, and the software can only handle 1,000 increments. So they're discussing on how to resolve that. I'm also glad to report that there was no chloroform detected in December. Turbidity was about the same. The chlorine residuals the same. The inventory of filters was the same. Let's see. There's a dead-end hydrant flushing that they did in November. They still need an updated report on that flushing. We still need to resolve the radio communications by remote.
You're on the December report now?
Yeah, we're in December. It's really unchanged from November, so that's what we have in the
For water report.
the water report.
I noticed Teresa's not with us tonight, but she did want to go first. Jacob, do you want to give a quick synopsis of what?
Yeah. So for the Highway Department, end of year report 2019, There was repaving on Echo Valley Road, putting milling in 2.5-inch asphalt overlay of 3,300 linear feet. Work performed with the contractor, a cost of $74,000. Middle Road repaving of 4,800 linear feet, totaling $113,000. Rockefeller Lane resurfacing, including an oil and stone overlay at 4,000 linear feet, $24,125. Old Post North drainage project, including removing a rotted pipe and reinstalling 500 linear feet of ADS pipe and 3 catch basins with the purpose of mitigating icing at the intersection. Work was performed with the town highway crew. The material cost $7,700. Feller Newmark drainage, dug across roadway, installed 2 lengths of specialty perforated pipe in order to mitigate icing on the roadway. With the town highway crew, the material cost $2,139. Freely Lane bank drainage, used shared services excavator to hammer the rock bank, ditched along the roadway and installed riprap in order to mitigate roadway icing. 2018-19 winter storm season, so from November 2018 to April 2019, the town highway department responded to 21 winter storm occurrences, plowing 120 lane miles of road. The winter season storm cost for materials and labors was $133,570. For tree removal, during the year, the highway department removed 60 dead trees, working with a contractor and using town forces. For mailbox specification development, there was the creation of a mailbox installation policy to be used with the town highway driveway permit. Mailboxes installed in the future will be safer for the traveling public and less likely to be damaged by the highway maintenance operations. Shared services boom mower attachment. So there was research and purchase of a Rockhound mower head attachment to be used with a shared compact excavator. This will be used to cut brush on slopes and banks in an efficient manner. The total cost is $9,500. For the town of Red Hook, the cost is $2,500. Routine highway maintenance included mowing 120 lane miles of road during the summer mowing season, using 500 tons of blacktop to patch various roads in preparation for resurfacing in 2020, using 100 tons of cold patch to do pothole repair as needed in the winter season, and installing 50 updated speed limit signs. And then there was non-highway related work, which included installing signs for the village-to-village trail and hauling materials for the recreation department, trails committee, and Red Church Cemetery. And then finally, there was landscaping for town hall that included mowing and brush control for town hall, the recycling center and annex property, clearing the town hall parking lot, sidewalks, and recycling parking of snow during the winter storm season, maintaining Tower Road for the town water department, removing trees on town-owned property, providing sand and salt to the village of Red Hook, village of Tivoli, and Red Hook Central School District, and making repairs to the recycling center parking lots.
Thank you very much, Jacob. The assessor's office has a brief update report. They're processing all of the senior and ag renewal forms. So just a reminder, the paperwork is due March 1st, 2020, if you are required to submit some forms. They are getting questions regarding letters that seniors have been getting from New York State Department of Tax and Finance with regard to the Enhanced Star exemption, and that's generally for those who are not required to file tax returns, so that's a verification process by the state. She talks about how she's meeting with the county on our level of assessment. And for the month of December, there were 20 sales in the town of Red Hook, if you include the villages as well. Most of the sales were in the township. And she thanks all the assistants of all the departments in town. All right, Bill, we have a monthly dog control report.
Yes, we have monthly reports for November and December, as well as year to the end of year wrap-up. So in November, there were 2 dangerous dog complaints. One person's dog attacked a neighbor's dog, and another person's dog bit a fellow passerby while hiking on Poets Walk. And the victim of that dog bite was wearing a winter coat and has recovered. There was no other loose dogs or nuisance dogs or wildlife reports in November. In December, there were 3 loose dog related complaints. There were 2 dogs at large, and 1 loose dog that was near Bard College was grazed by a car, which was reported to the SPCA by the driver. The dog made it home and recovered. Year to date, for the year, on our contract, there were 4 dangerous dog complaints, 18 loose dog complaints, 3 nuisance dog complaints, and 3 wildlife and cat complaints, for a total of 28 matters that they handled on our behalf.
Okay. Bill O'Neill, would you like to do the police report? Give you a chance to.
Yeah, for December of 2019, the Red Hook Police Department dealt with 116 total incidents during that reporting period. They made a total of 3 arrests and issued a total of 32 tickets during that month.
Okay. Bill Hamel, building and zoning.
Sure, I have for the month of January, and then I have a year-end wrap-up. So in the month of January, there were 15 building permits issued. There were 12 inspections conducted. There were 9 certificates of occupancy or certificates of compliance issued. There was 1 complaint received, and a total revenue of $6,851 was collected. For the year, for 2019, there were a total of 274 building permits issued. There was a total of 280 building inspections conducted. There were 211 certificates of occupancy and compliance issued. There were 142 complaints received, which includes open permit letters. And the fees collected for building permits for the year was $46,460. And the fees collected for municipal searches was $12,650 for a total revenue of $59,110.10.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Bill. Purchasing. So Christine is not with us. Bill O'Neill, you want to do that one?
Well, during the period of August 2019 to January of 2020, there were 148 purchases made that were issued in the amount of $470,000 by Ted Cudsey, the purchasing agent. The largest was to Callanan Industries for $186,000 for materials and road work for Echo Valley and Middle Road as a result of a public bid. In the meantime, the fire alarm system has been upgraded by Janelli. The HVAC system at Town Hall was replaced with air source heat pumps. 2 charging stations have been installed for electric vans in the rear of the Town Hall. The Red Hook Rec Park now has 4 pickleball courts after a public bid. And so far we've ordered 3 new computers to replace 3 obsolete machines. And that's a report by Ted Cudsey, the purchasing agent for the town.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Jacob, the CAC, we're moving on to committees now, or in this case, yes.
So this is the annual report. So there is current membership with 9 members. We've talked about this before. The committee head of council has welcomed Red Hook High School Environmental Club co-presidents who regularly attend the meetings. They're also cross-pollinating duties with the Sauk Hill Watershed Community, the Energy Committee, and then regular attendance at planning board meetings. There's been a lot of work that's been going on with the council, including endorsing the Town of Red Hook resolution in support of the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, hosting 4 repair cafes in partnership with the Red Hook Community Center, for charging stations, 4 new charging ports installed, making 8 total. There's a January e-waste community collection event in collaboration with the Bard College MLK Day of Engagement. Administered DEC campus scholarships, one college scholarship Those were sponsored by the VFW, Masons, and Ruth OJ Fund. The town webpage update, including a page focused on green retail. There's bike and pedestrian counts for Dutchess County. Outreach and data collection for the DEC program, amphibian migration and road crossing. Drawdown Reader Choices program with the library, New York Reads. Drawdown Eco Challenge, there are multiple things for that. There's for energy, clean energy community, community choice aggregation, community solar, which turned on at the end of 2019. There's LED streetlight scoping, town hall upgrades are complete. So for town hall energy updates, there's installation of the main roof and the air source heat pumps were installed. There's collaboration with the Red Hook Central School District on their efforts to get rooftop solar, led to adding the club to their honorary membership. There's a Hucklebush Railroad Trail Conservation Memo, Audubon Sustainability Community Certification Program support, Sauk Hill Watershed Community, where 2 CAC members share a leadership role. They were awarded a Climate Smart Community Bronze certification. There was approved purchase of a composter for the high school, so that was coordinated by the High School Environmental Club. There was funding for the Sauk Hill, SKWC monitoring program. There's transportation advocating for a covered county bus shelter and an electric van grant. Approved updated zoning code for natural resources protection, including water, soil, and timber. There's an active Facebook page and 225 follow, up-to-date website. And then for the drawdown teams of last year, there were 2 different teams in our community, which one had 184 members, another had 124 members, making the 15th and 63rd place teams out of over 1,000. So a lot of interest in conservation, and, projects like that. So,
Thank you, Jacob. Disaster Preparedness Committee, they met on January 21st and they discussed the tabletop drill that's going to be held in the beginning of April, and electronic copies of the updated disaster preparedness plan were sent to the respected mayors and county emergency management people. Bill, we have your intermunicipal task force.
Well, at weekly meetings in December and then in January of 2020, the Intermunicipal Task Force has continued its review of the joint meeting that we had with the Economic Development Council Committee on October 30th, 2019, on the subject of short-term rentals in the town of Red Hook, and that discussion continues. And there's probably a proposal to have a future public informational meeting on the subject to be held in the town of Red Hook with the Economic Development Committee.
Great. Thank you very much, Bill. A quick selection of the Rec Commission update. The Rod and Gun Club fishing contest, which typically happens in the spring at the rec park, they may have to revisit that this year because of the construction. It may need to be either canceled or modified, and again, we apologize. The expression "no pain, no gain." Right now, the rec park is closed. We ask that you respect those park closure signs. It's for the safety of everyone. So there is work that has been ongoing there. It shut down for a little while, but it will pick up as soon as it warms up a little bit. And we hope to have the park reopening sometime in late May, around Memorial Day, just so folks know. That's when we hope to have the completion of the work. Okay, pickleball court lighting. There's discussion of whether or not there should be lighting and how it should occur. Electrical service was brought in to accommodate the new lighting that'll be on the multi-purpose field. Skate park improvements are being planned for this year. Rec park, the western side, a lot of the initial work towards the parking for the trailhead, for the trail that's going to go from village to village, has been completed. They'll be back in the spring to finish up with that. Talk about some repairs to some of the equipment and to the summer recreation playground. we're now at the time where we're once again looking to hire folks for the summer rec program, which was very successful last year. Let's see, the town website, they would like to have a better presence on the website and to clarify some sign-up information on the website. So that's the rec commission. Red Church Cemetery, Bill O'Neill?
Yeah, well, the Red Church Cemetery Committee met this morning, and we have a meeting every month. And John Kuhn, who maintains the cemetery for the town and runs the maintenance schedules, and does a lot of the work himself. He reviewed in a 4-page report, what has been going on there, because it's winter, of course. The cemetery is not as active as it is during the rest of the year. But still, we maintain the cemetery, and we're working on the tombstones and the tree trimming and removal of trees. And I must say that the Stone Church, or the Red Church Cemetery is very attractive to look at. The way it's being maintained by the town since we inherited it under state law. And so all this work is still going on, and there was a list of 14 projects for 2020 that were discussed and which will be implemented by John and his crew, if that's possible, during this year. And the Church Cemetery Committee meets again the last Wednesday of February.
Thanks very much. Jacob, 2 quick Tree Preservation Commission reports, if you would.
Yep, so for the December 19th, 2019 meeting, the Urban Forestry Grant application has been submitted. The book order for next year's Arbor Day, this year now, so Arbor Day celebration has arrived. Pruning at the Red Church Cemetery has been completed by Hot Michael. The 2019 Tree City application has been submitted. The Duchess Creamery owner, Van Lamprow, has given permission to the committee to selectively prune the oaks on his property on the south side of Rockefeller Lane, and pruning will begin before the end of December. And then for last week's meeting, January 21st, 2020, the tree pruning on the south side of Rockefeller Lane is complete. Arrangements are being made to dispose of the brush piles. The large diseased maple on the north side of Pitcher Lane has been dropped. The stump will be removed when the weather improves. The 2020 Arbor Day celebration will be on April 25th. Seeds and saplings and a bluebird nesting box have been ordered for the event. The annual Tree City Recognition Dinner held in Albany is scheduled for March 19th, and 2 members of the committee will attend. And then finally, there were some concerns about seemingly excessive use of herbicides along Route 9 and Upper Red Hook, and I shared some of that information with Lori Husted of the CAC. So we're going to try to work with the 2 committees to see if there's anything that can be done with that.
Thank you, Jacob. Well, I think that concludes all of our committee and board reports for tonight. We do have just a couple pieces of correspondence. The first is from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and it's that rare rejection letter. We did apply for the planning grant for wastewater feasibility to extend the sewer, should it come to fruition, down Route 9 for the commercial properties, if that's of interest to those landowners. Unfortunately, DEC did not fund that study, and so they had sent us word of that. Dutchess County Association of Realtors writes to me regarding short-term rentals, which your task force is discussing, and congratulates us in soliciting public input, which we will continue to do. They talk about the importance of short-term rentals and what they believe should be guiding principles for accommodating that in Dutchess County. The last letter we received is correspondence from a resident with regard to the safety concerns that I know others have expressed with Kingston-Rankling Bridge now with the change in the lanes, and to accommodate the walkway portion of the bridge. Right now, it's in a temporary state. The overlayment has not been placed back on the bridge as well. And so this resident talks about an accident that occurred that involved a family member. And so we have heard from others about their concerns with that. All right, that's all I have. We're going to go into attorney-client. If there's any public comment at this time, we would entertain that, Linda.
Two issues. I had volunteered to be on the St. Margaret's committee. Do you want a resume?
I think we know you well enough, but sure, if you would like to just send an email.
I was on the committee prior.
Right.
All right. And the other thing is with this solar installation and billing, I know of a person who opted out of the system, yet was given a billing that was twice what this person normally pays. It's not working.
Well, I'm a little confused there, Linda, because the solar installation, there has been no billing on the community solar. For folks who did join our solar project, they should look for something next month or March. They'll be receiving a communication from what I understand the solar developer. So I'm a little confused when you say
This person had a
somebody
bill.
opted out. The solar had nothing to do with opting in or opting out. You either joined it or you didn't join it.
No, you
Perhaps
automatically joined.
you were
if
thinking
didn't
about the
opt in.
community choice aggregation, and that was for hydro, actually. That was 100% renewable through New York State Hydro. So maybe that's what you're referencing, the community choice aggregation. And I don't believe that anybody has received a bill yet for that. Okay, that period starts now in January. So again, I appreciate anecdotally you're conveying that, but nobody has actually been billed for that yet. All right, very good. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into attorney-client.
So moved.
For a second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye, thank you very much for joining us.